everyone. Welcome to the webinar Preparing Cities for the AI-enabled Citiverse. My name is András Szörényi, and I have the pleasure to be the host of this webinar today on behalf of the Global Cities Hub, an organization with the mandate to link local and regional governments to the work of the different international organizations, mostly in Geneva. And this afternoon's webinar will not be an exception. We will talk about an issue which is debated at the global level in most of the organization, but especially at the International Telecommunication Union, but which is a topic very, very relevant for local and regional government. For the logistical information, please note that this webinar is recorded, and the program will be very straightforward. We will have the pleasure to have two speakers presenting an important work and an important outcome of the global initiative on AI and virtual worlds. And after their presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and have an interactive dialogue. Please make sure you put your questions in the chat or your comments in the chat while our speakers are talking, and I will make sure that we answer all the questions possible after the initial presentations. The session presents the global initiative on AI and virtual worlds, Discovering the Citiverse, and one of its flagship deliverables, City Leaders Field Guide, Preparing for the AI-enabled Citiverse. I think it is a very good example of how global cooperation can deliver. While the UN and its organizations are often criticized for long and cumbersome discussions without no output, well, this time we will see and hear about a very, very concrete output, the Leaders Field Guide. And I would like to commend ITU and all the participants of the different tracks who worked on this very important project. By aligning strategic vision, technical foundations, and accessibility by design, the initiative helps accelerate world adoption of the Citiverse worldwide, globally, of course, with regional and local differences. The GCH had the honor to contribute to this work and to the preparation of the field guide. And I would like to also thank all the partners who participated in it, all the experts, all the city networks, all the colleagues from the different organizations. It offers a practical readiness assessment and a 90-day action framework to help city leaders prepare for the AI-enabled Citiverse. And to give you the best overview of this work, we have the pleasure today to listen to two distinguished leaders, Teppo Rantanen, who led the strategic guidance track of the exercise, and Christina Zhang, who was the leader of the evaluation and assessment track. The strategic guidance track is dedicated to producing high-quality reports, guidelines, and best practices that serve as knowledge repository for the development and implementation of the virtual world. And the evaluation and the assessment track focused on very concrete things, development and implementation of key performance indicators, and as you will hear, the City Leaders Field Guide, aligned with the new urban agenda and the sustainable development goals. So let me just quickly present our two speakers and invite them to make their presentations. We will start, as I said, with Mr. Teppo Rantanen, who is the Director for Competitiveness and Innovation at the City of Tampere. He is responsible for several citywide development programs with a particular focus on smart city and Citiverse, such as the data-driven City for Citizens initiative that shaped the strategic economic policy of the city. Teppo was Deloitte's Finland's chief executive officer, and he worked in London as member of the Global Technology, Media and Telecommunications Leadership Team. He is currently sitting on the board of Business Finland, so you will see his view is not only from the public sector, but I think a good combination. Teppo and his team were receiving the world's Smart City Award in 2023. They recently produced the world's first people-centered metaverse strategy, Tampere Metaverse Vision 2040, in collaboration with the Metaverse Institute led by Christina, who will be our second speaker. Dr. Christina Yan Zhang, who is the CEO of the Metaverse Institute. The Institute advises the UN, national governments, investors, and corporations using emerging technologies to bring positive impact. Christina is an award-winning business leader with 20 years of experience, turning forward-thinking ideas into successful businesses. She worked for QS, World University Ranking Agency, but also on committees of UNESCO, World Bank, EU, and the UK government. She was ITU's co-chair of Task Group on Pre-Standardization for the Citiverse, and she introduced the people-centered Citiverse concept with 8 levels to develop a people-centered, planet-friendly digital future leading to global standards. Christina is a frequent keynote speaker at high-level events, including WIPO, ITU, HLPF, and now Global Cities Hub. And with that, without further ado, let me invite you, dear Teppo, dear Christina, to help our audience to understand the good work done in ITU. Thank you for joining us. We are really pleased and honored to have you with us. Teppo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andres. I was a little bit surprised by a traffic accident, so I'm still in my car, but doesn't matter because the slides are run from the central, so I can go through my presentation about the AI-enabled Citiverse, which is basically based on the work that we did for ITU on the strategic guidance track, together with a broad international team, coming up with ideas of how this situation could be described, also so that the leaders, including the political leaders, city leaders around the world, could see why it is important now to engage into this new topic of Citiverse. So next slide, please. So there are a lot of things in the world that are changing right now, which makes it absolutely mandatory for cities to be part of this change. And not the least of them is, of course, the AI and how AI is transferring the whole technologies around us and everything we do, actually. There's also a lot of economic restructuring. It's a lot of governance complexity coming into our play. And then we have the citizens' expectations and how we engage the citizens in a new way in this global Citiverse is one of those things we have to be working on. And the things happening around the world in the climate, in the political arena, there's so many changes happening that require also the changes for the city leaders. Next slide, please. So the strategic shift is incredible. So it's also important to see, we've been talking a long time about smart development. Now we are working towards getting us from the thinking of infrastructure to thinking about the human potential. So the human potential aspect is something which we also in Tampere were developing when we started our own program on data-driven citizens for Citiverse, because that is something which we believe it comes through the citizens. By the way, that's why the Citiverse term is pretty powerful, because it engages the word citizen into the idea of this omnipotential metaverse in the cities. So there are several things happening which require us to be very looking for how we can optimize the infrastructure to optimize the human potential. So how we can look at what it means for people, how can people engage with the technology in a new way, but also taking the potential that they have as human beings to be part of this, looking at their potential with the help of technology. And that brings us again to the same situation where the citizens are in the center of things. Next slide, please. So when we are looking at it, it's like we need to go beyond where we have been going before. So we need to be decoding the frontier, decoding the things which have been doing. And that is something which is absolutely vital when we look at the different human potential, look at the civic capabilities. We have our virtual worlds initiatives. We have initiatives on artificial intelligence. We have initiatives on digital twins and initiatives on data foundations. All of this needs to come together because all of these elements are crucial in the world of Citiverse of the future. But without the human, it will not work. So this is, again, something which brings us to totally exciting new things and exciting new matters. Next slide, please. So we need to be looking at this human-centric city by design. So it should be part of the world we are looking and building into, and not around the technology. And that's what makes Citiverse thinking different from all the other initiatives around the smart cities and smart city technologies. One of them is inclusivity, because we have to be able to provide inclusive access to all kinds of groups of people, all kinds of citizens, into the new technologies and how to make the potential of them. We have to be able to see how when the AI is becoming human-level intelligence, how helping the solve of those complex problems and complex issues can be done in this new world of Citiverse. And of course, what it means for workforce in whole, it's probably a totally different type of workforce and different type of skills we need in the future, which means that we have to be looking at also the education and building these types of things of the future. Next slide, please. So we have been looking at how to build this AI-enabled Citiverse ecosystem and looking at the different elements of it. And we tried to put it into different categories of how we can look at it from the city government perspective, how we can look at it from the city economy and workforce perspective, how we can look at it from the citizens' perspective, but also how we can look at it from the personalized services and participation perspective. Because this is, again, something where we need to be having a different lens than we have before when we're working through this change that is going on in the world. Next slide, please. So this is something which we also have a challenge we have been trying to work on at the ITU is to how to do it for every city. Because we know that all kinds of cities around the world, different maturity, different environment, different political systems, different maturities, they all should be looked upon. But there cannot be one universal blueprint. We need to have something which we can call a one shared architecture, but then local application of those will be absolutely critical. So we need to be looking at
Teppo, unfortunately, you are muted.
Sorry. So again, looking at the diagnosis of the local needs, aligning them with the civic mandates, and then building for scalable sovereignty. So this is something which we have a global task to do. But we need to be looking at how we can solve these issues globally. And the issue about sovereignty and the data ownership is very topical today. So how we can make sure that we do reach out the digital sovereignty we need, but not sort of an overplay to it. So not try to say that we need to be all working on things in a way that we need to be building our own applications there. So I think that this is where we need to be very smart and working very closely with different players together, and that includes different geopolitical players. It includes also different types of companies we need to be working to. We need to be able to work together with, the big tech companies, with the local companies, and that is part of our ecosystem play, which we need to be very, very smart when we are building the new world of Citiverse. Next slide, please. So the window's really open, and we should act now, because how much of the economical power and how much people are concentrated into the cities. So it's like something where we have to be looking at the urban AI as an imperative we need to be solving. We need to be looking at the UN deadlines, the SDG deadline for 2030, and cities are actually those who are critically driving the innovation and accelerating that. And the third element, of course, is that when we have that number of people living in the cities, which will be increasing, it will just bring new issues to solve that can be and will be solved with a full implication and full adaptation of the Citiverse principles. Next slide, please. So we have been working on this global initiative on AI and virtual worlds for a while with ITU, and it's been wonderful to work together with colleagues across the different tracks. We've been working on this pillar one, bringing virtual worlds to life on the strategic guidance, but we have been working with all other tracks that have been actively pursuing things forward. And I think there's a lot of cross-reference points and a lot of work that can be done and will be done with this global network of experts that we have. And it has been a fantastic team to work with. Next slide, please. So this group of ours who's been working on this has been also a very global one. And there has been a lot of people who have been actively contributing to the work and coming up with these ideas that we have now shared with you on the strategic guidance, but also continue to work on other initiatives and making sure that we get something which is really practical, really implementable, and really able to be used by different cities and different stakeholders around the world. Next slide, please. So what we are doing is we are architecting tomorrow today. So we need a bold vision, we need disciplined execution, and we need a human impact. So for us, it's like you have to have a process where you assess and line, pilot and learn, and scale and integrate, and finally govern and evolve. And this will be a process that will continue, and we will definitely be working on this as a process. Even though our report is ready, but the work is not ready. We have to be continuing the work, we have to be developing what we do, and we definitely want to see the partnership grow so that we have more and more partners coming and working together with us on this new initiative. So this has been really a privilege to work with the teams across the world, across the topics here. Next slide, please. So this is sort of finalizing what we have done, and just to make sure that this has been worked in a close cooperation with a number of cities who have been implementing these things themselves and trying to be the front runners of the Citiverse. And in addition to my Tampere, there has been cities of Rotterdam and Valencia have been working very, very closely with, as well as Dubai. So a lot of cities have been actively involved and testing and doing it in practice, so that this will not be just an exercise of academic interest, but real life experience, how we can work and make things happen. And I'm happy to tell you and speak to you about some practical examples if you want in the Q&A session. But for this moment, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Teppo, for this great overview, and especially for your personal insights on the process. I will have myself some questions in the Q&A, especially on the human aspect, the personalization of the municipal services, But let me make one quick follow-up question before I turn to Christina. Referring to what you said, that we need to solve global the issue with local priorities and local specificities, and that it was a cooperation of a lot of actors, a real multi-stakeholder cooperation. You mentioned the cities, but there were also others around the table. Could you share with us your personal feeling? What was the real added value of this multi-stakeholder cooperation, and perhaps what was the challenges, if there were any, and what motivated you as a city representative to work in that circle?
Sure. If I start with the last one first, I think that we have been as a city always really looking for partners to work together with. So we believe that we can achieve much more if we work together. We learn from others. We can teach others on things that we have been working on, and that goes also the way that we work together within our ecosystem. I think one of our strengths has been that we have been able to commit our ecosystem to work together. So we have sort of a totally limitless way of working together with companies, with universities, other institutions, public sector, but also the citizens, and that has helped us to get these sort of groups together, like the group that we had on this topic, which was a very global group, but consisted of different stakeholders. I think the biggest challenge is probably to get time from people's calendar to actually get them sort of, because they are all busy people being good professionals in what they do. But I was happy to get commitment, and I was happy to get some help in doing the preparation of the work as well. So I think the ecosystem work, the cooperation there is the key.
Thank you very much. And let me then turn to Christina. You also know this environment from your past and your present, and you were the lead of the track which produced this outcome document or tool, I would say. So please explain our audience what is this tool, how it works, and what are your takeaways from the whole process, if I may say so. You are muted, Christina.
Yeah, could you maybe share my presentation from your end, perhaps? Hi, everyone. So it's a great pleasure to meet you all here today. I'm Dr. Christina Yan Zhang. I'm the CEO of the Metaverse Institute and also leader for the track 5 evaluation and assessment framework for the global initiative on AI and virtual worlds, discovering the Citiverse, launched by the International Telecommunication Union, the UNICC, and the Digital Dubai, together with 70 plus international partners. So firstly, I want to say a massive thanks to all the colleagues and leaders for their absolutely world-class contribution to allow us to come in together and produce the first city leaders field guide, preparing for the AI-enabled Citiverse, and particularly to our wonderful host, Andrea, to be one of the leaders to guide us to make this happen. So a big thanks to all of us. And this guide is really a practical one designed to looking at readiness assessments for mayors, ministers, and senior city leaders worldwide. Next slide, please. So many of you will ask, what is the AI-enabled Citiverse? So basically, increasingly, there is a convergence of AI, digital twins, spatial intelligence, and all kinds of different immersive environments. So they are coming together to become a more coherent, sovereign, and human-centric urban intelligence platform designed to serve our people and our planet. So there are several different key elements of that, all the way from the immersive nature in 3D and AI reasoning and autonomy, as well as 3D digital twins and the system intelligence, as well as robust data foundation and AI governance. Next slide. So how can you use this field guide? We make it very simple, only 3 steps. The first step, what you need to do is to find 3 people in your team. Your digital lead, because they are the ones who are really good at innovation. And you also need to find your finance people, because we need to find enough financial resources to do the digital transformation. And lastly, you need to find someone who are responsible for communication community, because cities are built for citizens. So we want to ensure our communities can find the value and benefits of getting involved. So once you get those 3 people ready, you can set up a meeting for 20 minutes, and you just do step 1, pulse check, where you answer yes and no to 12 different questions. And that's how we call it. Find your starting points and know exactly where you are and identify your strategic focus. And then once you have completed that, you go into step 2, which is 20 assessment questions. And you need to book a meeting for about 2 to 4 hours and score each of the 20 indicators all the way from 0 to 4 based on readiness. And then you should document all the evidence to identify critical gaps. And step 3, you should book a half-day workshop with your team to develop the 90 days action plan. And during this process, you set priorities and assign owners and budgets and schedule the first review. Next slide. So for step 1, the 12 different domains is structured around the key areas all the city mayors and ministers and the city government leaders care about. So for example, for vision, we will ask you a question: does your city have a formally endorsed policy or strategy for the AI-enabled Citiverse, digital twins, or AI-powered virtual services linked to your existing strategic plan? Yes or no? And then you can record that. And then the rest questions are focusing on barriers, use cases, governance, AI governance, technology. Next slide, please. Privacy, security, inclusion, finance, partners, and impact. So once you go through all the 12 different questions and count the number of yes answers you have got, you can understand where you are now, so we can find your tier. Next slide, please. For example, if you got less than 3 yes, it means you are at the very starting point, tier 0. So your focus now is to create the coalition and build a relationship and find your champion and write only 1 paragraph. Why this matter, right? And for your city. And if you are tier 1, means you have got 4 to 5 yeses, you need to focusing on the why. So draft a 1-page statement of intent and identify only 3 high-level, use case that match your city's most urgent civic challenge. And if you got 6 to 7 yes, it means you're tier 2. You need to focusing on the how. So you need to audit the legal barriers, governance gaps, and AI governance readiness, and secure seed funding for a 90 days pilot. If you score 8 to 9 yes, you are at tier 3, where you should focusing on the pilot. So deploy core infrastructure, train your team, and run a minimum viable prototype for just 1 use case. Yeah. And if you're very lucky, you're doing very well, you got 10 to 11 yes. and you are really ready to scale. So you should formalize security, trust, AI governance, safeguards, and adoption campaign for citywide rollout. And if you got 12 years, wow, you're really a great, achiever in your own way. So I guess at this moment, your key objective is really measure and sustain and publish the impact and equity data and share your model globally with all the peer cities. Next slide. Now, once you finish step 1 to understand where you are now, we're going deeper in step 2, the essential 20 assessment. And we put that in terms of readiness all the way to 0, which is absent. And point 1 is actually you're already exploring the Citiverse. And point 2 is you are developing that. And point 3 is it's actually operational. And it's point 4, it's fully optimized. So you can score each of the questions based on where you are now. And again, the 20 questions are covering the same 12 domain as we mentioned before, but you need to pay attention if an indicator scores 0, so it is a showstopper and you should address it before proceeding. And any domain with an average below 1.5, it represents a significant implementation risk. So again, you need to look into that. And if you got indicators scored 3 or 4, it means that you're doing very well and you should really leverage them to accelerate the initiative. Next slide, please. And then based on the results, if you are scored under 20, it means that you still have some critical gaps. So your focus should really on vision, use case, and stakeholders mapping. And if you are doing not too bad, say between 21 and 40, it means your foundational building is progressing well. So you should prioritize governance, such as AI governance and finance, and lock in a proof of concept requirements before any procurement. And if you got a score between 41 and 60, you got a very solid platform. So now you should proceed with a 90-day pilot and focus hardening on security, privacy, and AI governance. If you score between 61 and 80, it means you have very strong readiness, so you should invest in inclusion, impact, and investment signal review, and you should seek peer city benchmarking. Next slide, please. So once you complete step 2, now you are ready to develop the 90 days action plan. But before you begin, you should ask 3 questions again. Firstly, people. Who is the driver for the whole initiative at your city? Find that person. Second, money. So where is the pilot budget? And you want to find the smallest possible non-disruptive budget for a 90-day experiment, because we all know that the finance of cities is not always easy. And the third thing is permission. Does a mayor said yes, and you need very clear support from the mayor or deputy mayor for a sandbox. And once you have got those 3 sorted, now we can focus on your tier. If you are tier 0, you should host informal conversation with 3 department heads and map who will champion the whole initiative and write a 1-paragraph why this matter statement for a city. If you are tier 1, you should draft a 1-page statement of intent and list your top 5 urban problems and select one the AI-enabled Citiverse could address, and identify one university or NGO as your first partner. If you are identified as tier 2, you should commission a legal gap analysis and draft AI governance principle covering transparency and human oversight. Identify a very small relocation-based budget for the 90-day pilot. If you are Tier 3, you should set up the simple possible cloud-based infrastructure for your use case and train just the core team, maybe 5 to 10 people, and implement basic data privacy safeguards and define one citizen-facing success metrics. And for Tier 4, you should harden your cybersecurity strategy, develop citizen trust prototype, and conduct a full AI governance audit before wider rollouts, and launch adoption incentives and a public communication plan. And of course, if you're doing so exceptionally well, you got all the scores, and you can pretty much commission an independent social impact assessments and audit all the services and publish your ROI widely, globally, and share your success models with all the other cities. Next slide. And of course, there are, opportunity to review the schedules and decide if it's a go or no-go decisions based on different 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 12-month situations. Next slide. Bear in mind that when you're going through the whole process, there are some guiding principles you should bear in mind. The first thing is really readiness over eagerness, because, in the end, your score is really determined by your current verified capabilities, not about your most exciting future ambitions. So we need to be a little bit realistic. Where exactly are you now? And how can we really use Citiverse as a tool to make, even one problem improved for our citizens, right? And another really important thing is bear in mind to achieve the holistic adoption of Citiverse is never going to be easy. If you find there is one case study or one solution by adopting Citiverse can, support the tourism, economy in your city, or increase the satisfaction rates of citizen engagement by 10%, or it can raise awareness about, climate change among targeted audience, etc. If you just find one use case and you are already massively successful, so don't want to be a perfectionist, there is no need. And of course, I think local context really define the pathway, and the whole thing is really put our people, especially our citizens, in the center of co-design, co-development of our future city. And you need to be very realistic and pragmatic in terms of managing the progress, and it should be all evidence-driven. Next slide. So we are very honored to have the opportunity to contribute to the evaluation and assessment framework. As you can see, there are many different other tracks. For example, the one led by our wonderful TEPO in strategic guidance, etc. Next slide. I want to say a massive thanks to our wonderful team. For example, Dino D'Alessio, who is currently the Deputy CEO of the United Nations Joint Staff Pension Fund, who is our main architect to came up with the whole framework. And of course, Nicholas Yu from Guangzhou Institute of Urban Innovation. And he is a proposer of how we create this really simple tool for all the mayors worldwide, together with all the other nearly 30 world-leading authorities from Open Agile Smart City, European Commission, Smart City Observatory, UNICEF, Interpol, UN Tourism, Metropolis, African Telecommunication Union, etc. You can name it. I want to say a massive thanks to every single one of you for your world-class contribution, and to our amazing executive committee, Dr. Oken Gary, Christina Boetti from ITU Secretariat, and all the other amazing colleagues. Thank you so much for your wonderful support, and we're looking forward to working with all of you to make this happen with more cities and deliver values for our citizens. Next slide. Thank you very much, and very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I liked very much when you said if we can improve at least one thing through the Citiverse, it is already a important step forward. And let me follow up on that point with one question. It is a governance opportunity to build an AI-enabled Citiverse. What is your experience, or what was the outcome or your sense in the discussions? Can we really focus on one or two or three local challenges, or we need to focus in a broader, more generalistic approach when we have this first 20-minute discussion to build or not to build an AI-enabled Citiverse?
I think from an economic perspective, a lot of economists will say for every single one of us, if we're only focusing on one thing in our life and dedicating more than 10,000 hours to learn to excel in that, will become a leading expert in that field. And consider there are so many different urgent matters, happening in different cities every day, every hours as we speak. I think it's better we get laser focused and just find one killer issues that we feel we should best utilize immersive technology, digital twins, AI to address that. That will produce the most tangible baby steps to allow us to convince more stakeholders to get involved and contribute. I think that will be the most realistic way forward. Of course, we can talk about the most glamorous, very big ambition, but politicians, city mayors, they will need to be elected every, I think, like 3 to 5 years. If you don't deliver within 1 year's time, somebody else might come in, and it does not matter anymore, right? So we need to be a little bit pragmatic. That will be my personal recommendation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Unless mayors, chief digital officers, or smart city directors may stay longer than 4 years. So let me turn to you as well, Teppo, and also Christina. In the remaining time we have, let me ask you two questions, starting one at the personal or individual level, and the other one which was on trust. On the individual level, you both mentioned that it is very important that the citizens are engaged and the citizens are empowered. How do you see the possibility to make sure that citizens as users are as advanced and educated as the AI-enabled Citiverse itself? Because we can have a brilliant technology if we cannot use it properly, or put it another way, we can provide a great tool, but if we cannot empower the users, and in that sense, I put also the staff of the municipality here, but also the citizens in here, because all of them need to be aware of the capabilities and the opportunities the Citiverse offers. Do you have recommendations or experience on how to make sure that the users are also well prepared?
If I take that first from what we have experienced, is that one of the principles we've been thinking about is that the people don't need really to understand all the technologies that lies behind what they can get the services, but the user experience, the user interfaces should be made such that even those who don't have the skills and capabilities to deal with them, they would be still comfortable in using them. So we talk about elderly people, for example. What about voice recognition being the primary way of communicating to, what I've been doing? And so they don't need to even know that all the machinery that's behind it, all the technologies are behind it. But then it comes back to the question that you actually mentioned, that's a trust. So they need to be trusting that the machine in the background works in the right way and gets right results, treats their data in a proper way. But we never can expect that most of our citizens would be knowledgeable about the finesse of the AI and technologies behind it. But we need to build the ability to trust the way that it has been designed, that it will be running, and make it so easy. Actually, it should be more like acting in a predictive way. People don't even need to know what to do because they are predicted what help they need in the future. And making sure that this is something which the city does going forward. But of course, as you mentioned, this is an issue as well with the city staff because they don't have the capabilities or skills either. And we need to be educating them. We need to be putting all possibilities to help them to get better and understanding that first of all the AI doesn't replace them, it actually helps them in their work and helps them to do their work better. So take away this unnecessary being afraid of what the AI might do. But it's interesting. We did a ethical AI guidelines maybe 3 years ago, and we involved a lot of both the city workers and also the citizens in that work. And what it showed us was that how little they actually knew about AI and how much there was this sort of a fear of unknown when we talk about AI. Of course, 3 years ago, 3 years is gone. It's much better that people have been using. Still, I think there's a lot of that. So we need to be making this very balanced way of moving things forward at the same time as we build the trust for the people to use them. So that's our experience.
Christina?
Yeah, I think I want to add another 2 points. The first point is based on our interaction with different cities implementing Citiverse related projects. Often we find out that the most sophisticated and interesting application is developed by the younger generation because they've grown up playing computer games and all kinds of digitals. So the way they see the world operate might be slightly different from the way city leaders or government leaders or digital leaders see. So I think it actually is a very powerful tool to engaging the future generation to play a proactive role in co-designing and shaping the future of our city and communities. And the second point I want to highlight is there are 1.6 billion people in the world with different degree of disabilities. So that's 16% of the global population. And traditionally, we know that the physical environment pose all kinds of different challenges for them. But now with all kinds of different wearables and additional immersive technologies, it is possible for the first time that their overall living, working environment can be greatly enhanced. So how can we use Citiverse-related technology to create a more neurodivergent friendly environment for our citizens who are suffering from different level of special needs in the 3D physical world is something of strategic importance to make our city more accessible and equitable for all of our citizens. And the last point I want to mention is in Istanbul, Turkey, they have a very powerful case studies of digital twin related simulation because we know Istanbul have a massive population of 15 million people, and their location is located in between major continental area, which means they are quite likely to have major earthquake happening, not only in the past like 20 years, but potentially more than 50% of chance happening in the years ahead. So what they have been managed to do is using AI-powered early warning system, which can send like warnings to every single people within the location of Istanbul 15 seconds to 30 seconds earlier when the first destructive S wave arrived in the city. And that time, early warning linked with all the live digital twin footage of monitoring the traffic, and the movement of all the peoples within the city is actually providing a super powerful early warning system to potentially allow, I think, 40% reduction of casualties when a major earthquake happens. So I think when we're talking about, like all kinds of different applications of Citiverse, of course, we encourage every single city to be laser focused, find one point, but sometimes that one point can be quite significant in terms of impact as well. So I would say just find your niche points. It can be disaster mitigation with all the, like climate change situation, rising sea levels to simulate how it's going to impact on coastal areas, and things like tourism. I know there's a lot of wonderful case study around tourism. I know Tepo, you guys did wonderful things in Tangier around tourism. Valencia is very famous for their futuristic, cities of arts and culture, and so are lots of other cities. So I think there are opportunities, out there. And when it comes to tourism, it's not only about attracting people to come, because in Barcelona and in Rome and in lots of other cities where they have maybe a little bit too many tourists during summertime, and how you can use Citiverse to address over tourism to ensure the tourists are coming at a time where they have really enough capacity to accommodate them, maybe with some special discounts as a bundle for airplane and the local accommodation, so that we can diversify the portfolio to ensure everyone will be happy, including the local residents as well as the overseas travel tourists. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for these very concrete examples. I think the point is very important that every city can look from their own point of view, what are their challenges, and you can find in the chat the different links to the work at ITU, led by Teppo, led by Christina, the link to the City Leaders Field Guide, which is an available tool for everyone. I'm sure Christina and Teppo can be reached to have further information, but already as a first step, you can find everything online. We have only 5 minutes left, so let me ask you one final question. Teppo, you already reacted partially to the question of trust. Let me reformulate this question in the following way. In my experience, very often when I talk to people, especially young people from Asia, their approach is more, let's go forward, let's try it, and we try and fail, and we will come up with a solution sooner or later. While when I'm meeting city officials, mostly in Europe, the question of let's make sure that it all works properly, that cybersecurity is 100%, that all the applications are fine, working fine, is more important. Do you have in your practice this experience of different approaches geographically? If yes, would you have a recommendation which way to follow? Or what would be your expert advice to conclude?
I would have, yes, because I think that we suffer from the European way of doing things too slowly. We suffer the way of over-regulating things in Europe, which is making some things very hard. And actually, I just sat down, lunched 2 weeks ago with our commissioner, Henna Virkkonen, who's leading the technology part at the EU Commission. And she was violently agreeing to this. So she's really pushing for the agenda of taking away unnecessary red tape, but also taking away of some of the unnecessary cautious interpretation of rules like AI Act or like GDPR, which are right now interpreted in a way that was not even mentioned in the beginning. So this is something which we need to be talking a lot in Europe, that how can we make us become more innovative and more bold and maybe more startup-like in the way that we are doing things here, and not always say, oh, we cannot do this because of this and this and this and this. It actually goes back to our companies. They have also adopted the same sort of thinking. I was just attending a workshop with the Tampere University, who were interestingly, they are studying now how to commercialize Citiverse. What are the commercial options for Citiverse for companies? So they had a number of companies invited to do this, and when I listened to the companies and asked, their views, they all started, not all, but many of them started, yes, but there's this regulation which we cannot do this because of the regulation. I said, forget all that and tell us what you can do, and then we'll work on the regulation and see if it really is a problem. It can be just it's an imaginary problem that they just do it using it as an excuse, or then they think it's a problem and they don't do things because they're afraid it's becoming problematic. And I actually shared this view with some of the Finnish government people from different ministries, and they all agreed we should be bold. We should do things much more courageously and not always look for the sort of sorry excuse why cannot we do it this time.
Thank you for this honest concluding words. Christina, your concluding words.
My concluding words will be, if we're linking the whole Citiverse to the wider trend of technology development, the next two biggest trends at this moment, one is called humanoid robots, and according to Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, he believes that's going to be a $50 trillion economic opportunity for the world. And what he did last year is launching his own platform called Cosmo. And basically is a whole family suite of using AI large world model to train humanoid robots in the 3D virtual world environments, really for a safe, controlled, and cost-effective environment to get them deployed across all the warehouse, mobilities and other situations. So consider that going to be integrated with all the smart city developments and the Citiverse development in the years ahead is going to be more common. And the second area I want to highlight is, I already mentioned, is the discussion about AI agents start to move beyond 2D environments, but in a more immersive 3D environment. So potentially in the future, when Professor Fei-Fei Li and Yan LeCun, all the big AI tech giants, they start to develop really affordable and open source, hopefully, large world model in 3D. So it is entirely possible. Every single one of us, all the citizens, we can use those really powerful 3D visualization tools to co-create our cities, communities in collaboration with our city municipality government leaders and the central government leader to ensure together we deliver for our people and the planet and ensure everyone is happy and prosperous in the years ahead. I think that's a very positive and exciting future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, on this happy concluding and positive remarks. Teppo, Christina, first of all, for your great work at the ITU processes, and thank you for being available for our audience to make all the outcome known for the community of local and regional governments. It was really an honor have you with us, and we are looking forward to work together in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.